A young boy observes a riot in a factory. The workers are tired of being patient and want to talk to the owner of the factory, but guards with batons beat them mercilessly and do not let them go anywhere. The voice of the head of the factory comes out of the loudspeakers. He invites only one person to join him and asks the others to disperse. In the evening, the child talks to the father about rights, about standing up for them, even though the other children's parents are happy with what they have. The father says that we must always fight, otherwise we are not human beings. In the morning, Sankaka wakes up to conversations in the house. The mother says that the father has gone to get his friends at the factory because they never came back after yesterday's riot. The mother suggests that her son go to the home of the missing workers and check on their families, but suddenly the woman guesses that this is a setup and that the families have been paid for this lie. Sankaka's mother runs to the factory to warn her husband about the trap, but she twists her leg and does not make it at all, so the boy decides to run on his own, but does not make it and his father is killed in front of him. Someone discreetly stabs him in the back and he dies in the mud. Sankaka sees this, runs to his corpse and mourns his loss, but his anger at the injustice has given rise to something special in him. He started shooting lightning bolts, though involuntarily. He flew into a pole, and when they tried to examine him, they themselves flew away from his lightning. A year went by, and the kid hears from his mother that she will be back the day after tomorrow because their money ran out. They had to sell the house and move into this unremarkable apartment. Sankaka can't find his place without his mother, and in the evening he is disturbed by the sounds outside, because the nature outside the window is terribly stormy. Lightning is striking everywhere, and he hears some scary noises. The boy is starving, and time is ticking away. Now his neighbor has brought him some food. Where is his mother? The boy eats the crumbs he scattered in the street during his anger. He looks at his house and leaves. Sankaka doesn't know where to go yet, but he goes. The guy runs down the street away from the crowd, soon caught up with him. Sankaka gets beaten up by the guys, but when a beam almost collapses on him, a strange guy comes to the rescue and deftly strips the street guys. Sankaka wakes up in a room with his savior. He asks why he was chased and the boy tells him that he was trying to protect a girl on the street, a tramp just like him. Agung says he is now in trouble for interfering in their showdown and protecting the boy. He promises that he will teach him how to fight, and they begin their training. The boys train everywhere they can. Agung told how he lived with rich people who bullied him, but he escaped from them after all. The guy told me that there's a train coming tomorrow that goes once a year. He brings him to a safe place, but Agung refuses to take Sankaka. The boy dreams that his mother does come home, but Agung wakes him up and takes him along for the ride. They run after the train and Agung grabs the train, but Sankaka doesn't have time to grab his arm and is left alone. He has to survive on the streets, hauling bags and watching all the crime that goes on in the streets. One day he is chased by a mob of guys who still want to get even with him and is rescued by a kind family who wants to take him in, but Sankaka sees all the chaos going on in the streets and runs away from the car. So the years go by, and Sankaka grows up on the streets. He works in a factory. The guy has become calm, but is still afraid of lightning. Sankaka goes to his room and almost passes out from lightning. Meanwhile, at a social gathering, the men discuss the fate of Penkor, a man who had a very difficult childhood. His home was burned down and he was forced to grow up in a terrible orphanage where children were mistreated. But the boy planned a riot and along with the other children killed the cruel owners, and soon his father's inheritance came to him and he put all the orphans where they wanted, after which he opened hundreds of orphanages all over the country. The man goes to the family's car after this conversation and along the way they run into some poor people. The children ask to give them money and the father is fine with it. They arrive home as a family, but the man keeps looking around as if something is threatening them. He walks the family home and goes to look around himself. Nobody seems to be there, but a man with a fire in his hand appears behind him and puts him to sleep with just a word. He finds himself tied up in a chair, looking at his family hanging over an abyss. They blackmail the man, but eventually both he and his family die. Sankaka has another scary dream about his apartment, but he is awakened by a knock in the next room. He hears men harassing someone, threatening them. Sankaka helps his acquaintances escape, and he goes home himself. He hears the knocking in the next room again. It is the bullies pestering the poor woman to pay them money. Sankaka intervenes and scatters them, but then they grab their knives, not even realizing that it won't help them. A guy saves a woman and a child from unnecessary violence. At night, an armed mob rushes to his work. There are so many of them that Sankaka has to run away and fight back. He escapes to the roof, but they break down the door and pounce on him non-stop, beating him constantly with bats. He wakes up to people cutting his ear. This time it's the other one. The bandits throw him off the roof. He almost dies, but lightning strikes right through his body and he wakes up. He was so afraid of it for a reason. It is his destiny. He wakes up at home to a knock on the door. A woman has brought him a child named Teddy to babysit Sankaka. Meanwhile, Pankor comes to everyone to offer his condolences for the young deputy, even though it is obvious to everyone that he is the one who killed him. Pankor intends only to increase his power, whatever it takes. Meanwhile, the men discreetly plant the reagent capsules in the bags. Sankaka talks to Teddy to find out who he is and who his mother is. The boy says that the woman is not his mother, she is his sister Vulan. He always wears headphones so he doesn't have to talk to people. Sankaka gives him a Walkman so he can listen to music. The man brings Teddy to his sister while he and his friends are rioting in the market. Sankaka notices unusual strength in himself during a fight in the street, he even accidentally releases lightning bolts at people. There were 30 of them, and he was alone. All the bruises on him healed like a dog. The rebels call him to defend the market, but he refuses, saying he's not a superhero. Sankaka goes outside and notices that the market has burned down. Vulan explains to him that it's all about the legislator, who is Pankor's friend. So who will help them? Who can they hope for? Could Sankaka be able to do that? In the evening, when thunder and lightning strike from everywhere, he goes outside and is struck by lightning again. He gets hit by Vulan, but it's like he doesn't care about the pain. The people riot and go to deal with whoever set fire to the market, but they notice that everyone present at the feast is vomiting. The news says that someone has injected serum into the rice and now the children of all pregnant mothers will become immoral, since the serum blurs the line between good and evil. Thus, the threat of increased criminality from the next generation hangs over the city. Bullies with truncheons walk the streets, until suddenly a masked man appears. It is Sankaka. He deals with the scoundrels, but one stabs him with a knife, though Sankaka is not afraid of this, as there will be lightning today, which means all the wounds will heal. The girl inquires about where he is from. Sankaka shows her a photo of his mother, and she somehow reacts unusually to it. He goes under the zipper again and all his wounds heal, after which it dawns on him that he should make the antennae, and then he decides to make the whole suit as well. He makes it out of the materials at hand. At night, bandits knock on the old couple's door and break it down, but then they disappear. It's Sankaka trying out his new costume. He looks like a real superhero himself. At this time, the two men are digging up an unusual object. The man says that it will help defeat a certain enemy. There is talk on TV about a new vigilante. The men in the jackets gather and say that Pankor has contaminated the rice with chemicals and decide to unite against the villain. They have also heard about the new superhero and are going to ask him for help. Meanwhile, Sankaka wakes up in her room to find Vulan cooking. She's even wearing a skirt for the first time. Teddy says she has a crush on Sankaka. They are met by the guys outside the entrance and told about the person who did the arson. It is a certain violinist and Sankaka deals with him, but he turns out to be a strong adversary, and with a blade in his violin case as well. Pankor, meanwhile, convinces the others to give up the serum that neutralizes the poison from the poison rice. The beaten violinist is brought to Pankor, who has been outing this musician since he was a child. He is angry at the new hero who did this to him and orders all the orphans to be united. All the orphans get a call from father and they leave all their business to begin creating havoc. Dead people show up everywhere and they are all officials, or just people undesirable to Pankor. Meanwhile, two government officials are attacked right in the car, but the guards are so strong that the guys don't have time to do anything to them. Suddenly, a martial arts master with a mask on the back of his head appears out of nowhere and takes out the guards in a matter of moments. Afterwards, he goes to the official, but Sankaka gets in his way and saves the official. He throws the martial arts master away and the latter gets angry, but backs off. It turns out that Sankaka has thousands of orphans all over the world, and they are all dangerous killers. Sankaka looks at the fighter's mask and notices a familiar symbol. It is the one who set fire to the market. The hero gives new hope to the people. He is filled with determination and already goes out on his own to fight back against the bullies. Officials, meanwhile, are at a loss. So what to do with the serums? Even if a cure does exist, there may not be enough. All the officials come to the same conclusion: the new drug must be legalized, because everyone fears for the immorality of the next generations. When Sankaka goes home and talks to Teddy, Vulan meets him and tells him that she worked in the southeast at the hospital and knew his mother. She did come home after Sankaka ran away and looked all over for him, but never found him. She was treated by Vulan, but she didn't want to die at home. The guy sits down on the couch from shock. The official gets a report from the lab about the serum. It turns out it was manufactured by a shell company called Pankor. The man tries to recall the cars with the serum, but no one has the plates. Sankaka calls an official and asks him to stop Pankor, or no one will stop the drivers of the serum cars. But the villain doesn't keep him waiting and leads the men to Sankaka himself. They attack the hero, but he tries to hold on, even though he is weak. Pankor himself only watches as his mad army pounces on the hero. Meanwhile, people are about to be injected with serums. Will Sankaka be able to save everyone? The men who are supposed to inject the serum are ordered to cancel everything. Sankaka runs to the roof and sees Penkor's men cutting up his friend. Suddenly lightning comes down on the hero and he stops the criminals. An official comes running to him and shoots Penkor. He lies on the roof and dies from the shot, saying that he is grateful to fate for what he has become, which is why he wanted to make everyone immoral like him. But can one guy stop all the serum machines? A girl helps him and turns over a truckload of vaccines. He grabs the bottles and when lightning strikes him, all the vaccine bottles created explode because they exist at the same frequency as the bottles in his hands. Meanwhile, Penkor's men assemble a new villain from the body parts that were hiding in the blocks. The bandits report that there is a new hero in town, Gundala, who himself does not yet know that he is Gundala. The newly minted villain orders an army to be assembled, for a great war is coming.